All right, for all you developers, engineers, and AI nerds out there, this is it. This is the main event you've been waiting for. We are putting two absolute titans of the AI world, Anthropic's Claude 3 Opus and OpenAI's GPT-4, right up against each other in a no-holds-barred deep dive. And listen, this is not just going to be another boring spec sheet comparison. Nope, we are doing a full-on teardown to figure out which of these models really comes out on top for coding, for creating content, and for all those daily tasks that make up your workflow. So you might want to grab a coffee because we're diving right in.
Okay, first up in the ring, let's talk about Claude 3 Opus. And the best way to think about this model, it's not a jack of all trades, no. It's more like a high-precision surgical tool, one that's been specifically engineered for the messy, complex world of coding.
And believe me, that is not just some marketing fluff. Take a look at this number, 87.6%. That's Claude's score on the Swebench verified benchmark. And what that means is, right out of the gate, this thing established itself as a truly world-class top-tier model for real, actual software engineering.
So let's look at the specs. Claude 3 Opus comes out swinging with a massive 1 million token context window. To put that in perspective, that's like it's reading an 800-page book in a single go. It also has this huge output capacity of 128,000 tokens. Now, the pricing looks the same as before, but trust me, there's a really important little detail about that we're going to get to in just a sec.
And here is its secret weapon, prompt caching. Seriously, this is a huge deal. Imagine you're working on a big code base and you keep feeding the same files to the AI over and over again. Well, with this feature, Claude remembers. It caches those files. So, yeah, you pay the full price the first time, but every single time after that, you're paying just a tiny fraction of the cost. This is an absolute game changer for any kind of repetitive work.
But, and this is a big but, there's a catch. It's what people are starting to call the hidden token tax. See, Anthropic's new tokenizer means the exact same text now uses about 35% more tokens. Why? Well, it's probably been trained on a much wider vocabulary, so it breaks down common words into more little pieces. The bottom line for you? A project that might have cost you $100 before can now run you about $135. And that's exactly why that prompt caching feature we just talked about is so unbelievably important to help balance out these new costs.
So just how much can you actually save? Well, get this. One developer reported that their project's cost just plummeted from $168 all the way down to just $21. That is a mind-blowing 98% in savings, all because almost all of their input tokens were just being read from the cache. The potential here is just massive.
All right, now it's time to meet the challenger, GPT-4. Look, if Claude is the surgeon, then GPT-4 is the super versatile, all-purpose Swiss Army knife. It's playing a different game, one that's all about speed, flexibility, and, maybe most importantly, being way easier on the wallet. And honestly, this number pretty much says it all. Right out of the gate, GPT-4 is a whopping 58% cheaper than Claude on its base API price. For any project that's running at scale, a difference like that can literally mean thousands and thousands of dollars in savings every single month.
And when you look at GPT's stats, you can totally see the trade-offs it's making. It's got a smaller standard context window and half the max output of Claude. But that's super aggressive pricing, just $2.50 for input and $10 for output. That's its main draw. It makes it incredibly attractive for any application that's doing a high volume of tasks.
And this is GPT's unique superpower, native computer use. This is wild. It means the model can actually interact directly with your computer's operating system. We're talking opening files, running programs, even clicking around in a user interface. This just unlocks so many insane possibilities for automation and building powerful desktop agents.
Okay, we've met our two contenders. Now it is time for the main event. This is where all the marketing buzz stops, and we just let the hard data do the talking. Let's get into the benchmarks.
So here's the most important thing to see right away. There is no single winner here. It's not that simple. I mean, look at the table. Claude absolutely dominates in real-world coding stuff like SWE Bench and in using complex tools. But then GPT-4 pulls way ahead in pure reasoning, in math, and it has a lower hallucination rate. They're just optimized for completely different things. And you can really see one of Claude's key strengths here. There's a pretty significant 9-point gap in this tool use benchmark. So what does that actually mean for you? It means that when you have a complicated task, one that needs the AI to use a bunch of different external tools or APIs in a specific order, Claude is just far more reliable and way more capable.
But then, on the flip side, this chart shows you exactly where GPT-4 really shines. In the tests that are all about pure logical reasoning and math skills, GPT just consistently scores higher. So if your application depends on raw problem solving or crunching numbers, GPT clearly has the edge.
All right, let's move past the raw benchmarks and talk about something else, a concept we're calling vibe coding. This isn't just about, throwing a prompt at an AI and getting a chunk of code back. No, this is about true collaboration. It's a conversation where you and the AI actually partner up to build something great. And the key things here are how well the AI follows your instructions and remembers the context of what you're trying to do.
And this right here illustrates the difference perfectly. We did our own real-world test refactoring a massive React application, and Claude was way more accurate and needed a lot fewer manual fixes from us. However, GPT-4 was a full hour faster. So what do you want? Do you want precision or you want speed? It's that classic trade-off.
Let's talk about money, because for most projects, this is the bottom line, right? Now, GPT-4 is cheaper across the board on standard input and output, no question. But that unique cache read price for Claude, that's the wild card. That one little line item can completely change the entire cost equation. Okay, let's walk through a real-world scenario to see what I mean. Imagine you have a high-volume chatbot. With GPT-4, you're looking at about $32,500 a month. Now, Claude, without its caching, would be a staggering $75,000. But look what happens when you get an 80% cache hit rate. The cost for Claude drops all the way down to $57,000. Yeah, it's still more expensive, but it's suddenly way more competitive. So the crucial point is this: your specific use case is what really determines your final cost.
So, after all that data, what's the verdict? We've torn down the tech, we've looked at the benchmarks, we've crunched the costs. Now let's pull it all together to help you make the right strategic choice for whatever it is you're building.
And here it is, the final showdown, side by side. On one hand, you've got Claude. It's your champion for code quality, for huge context tasks, and for complex tool use, especially if you can take advantage of caching. On the other hand, GPT is the clear winner for speed, for projects where the budget is tight, for automation, and for any kind of multimodal application. Each one has a really clear, well-defined set of strengths and weaknesses.
So how do you actually choose? Here's the quick and dirty guide. Pick Claude if code quality is your absolute #1 priority. Go with GPT if speed and cost are your main drivers. But here's the pro tip, and it's the strategy we actually use. Leverage both. Use each model for what it's best at. That's how you create the ultimate development workflow.
And that really brings us to our final question. Is the future of AI-assisted development going to be built by the high-precision surgeon or by the versatile Swiss Army knife? The real takeaway here isn't about picking a winner. It's realizing that the smartest developers aren't going to pledge allegiance to one model. They're going to master the art of using the right tool for the right job. So the real challenge for all of us is building out our own ultimate toolkit.